What up? Welcome.
What's happening? Well, we're moving on up.
We moving on up
to the east side.
We should have left the plastic on this furniture.
like grandma and them used to do.
Bruh, we already broke the cardinal rule of black folk.
Yes, sir. Tell them, don't take that plastic out. Don't sit on my good furniture.
You have not tuned into the wrong podcast. You are still watching Religiously Incorrect.
We are here. We are just we're just getting it right,
We're far more comfortable.
Yeah, oh man, I feel like I can go to sleep.
Bruh, this is why we didn't pad the pews for years in the church, because now we see what happens. But
yes,
we're working on a new set. Big Mike will talk more about it at the end, but we're working on a new set. We're in transition, but I like this flavor, this flow.
This nice feel,
you know,
right
so
here.
come on in the room. I hope your chairs are as comfortable as ours are. Welcome to Religiously Incorrect. And
we are brought to you today by the African American Community Fund. The African American Community Fund, established in 2020 as the Foundation for Appalachian Ohio, supports Black-led and Black-serving organizations throughout the 32 counties of Appalachian Ohio to elevate the quality of life and address disparities in African American communities. Check them out at www.appalachianohio.org or call them at 740-753-1111.
Man, it is a pleasure to be back in the room.
Man, yeah.
How was your Father's Day, man?
Man, my Father's Day is always...
How are them socks?
I ain't getting... Man, you know what, man? I was... I don't even remember what I got, to be honest with you.
That's a bad move. Sorry, Tiffany.
I know she got me some nice stuff, though. She does. She got me some nice stuff. I can't remember what it is. I'm old. I'm 50 years old, man.
Bro, I got some grown man shirts, some grown man summer button up, short sleeve button ups, You got some cologne, got a cologne set, which I needed. It's just let me know. I've been stacking.
What kind of cologne you got? You got some Stetson?
Aqua de
She got him some Adidas.
Some Aqua Velvet.
Got that Michael Jordan cologne.
She got him some Shaq.
She got me some Cool Water. That old head cologne.
Some Brute by Fabergé.
Some Brute by Fabergé.
Not Brute.
I got that little car I used to get from Avon. Aftershave, shaped like a car my grandpa used to have. Nah, man, got the Aqua de Joe, got the full set. That's one of my scents that I love. And we had a great time with the family because, Father's Day is my birthday. This
Happy
year,
birthday to you.
They fall sometimes right on the same day.
Right.
And it was our anniversary a few days later. So we went to Pittsburgh that night. Nice little steak dinner at Ruth Chris, and then we went to go see Stokely from Mint Condition. Bruh killed it.
You send me swinging.
That's what I sing to Jesus
I
now.
am steady swinging.
I'm steady swinging. But no, I mean, dude
Hey,
killed
so
it.
real quick, y'all out there, y'all listening. Listen, it was Pastor Todd's birthday last week, and tomorrow is Big Mike's birthday. Can y'all give them some happy birthdays?
Give Mike some love for his birthday, man. We're proud of you. Love you, man.
Thank you. Love you guys too, man.
Yes,
appreciate
he spent all his birthday money on these new chairs.
Listen, and the rest at the casino. But no, it was a good week, man. And shout out to all the fathers out there. We didn't have a chance to, give this Father's Day shout out like we do for mothers.
Right.
As we always say, you can go to the restaurant, sit anywhere you want.
Yeah.
There were no waits, no buffets.
None
You know what I'm saying?
None at all.
But and no good songs about fathers except Papa Was a Rolling Stone. That's the anthem for fathers. But we'll take what we can get. So,
Michael, you gonna have any communion tomorrow for your birthday?
Man, listen.
I'm having communion tonight. Just so you know, I'm having communion tonight.
He's having communion tonight.
It ain't even the first Sunday, Mike.
It ain't even first Sunday. He don't care.
It's first Sunday somewhere.
It's first Sunday somewhere. Right. Somebody worshiping somewhere. But hey, okay, so first things first. I just made up a new segment. That's what I like to call this. First things first. The 10 Commandments.
Wow, man.
Have you heard of this state law in Louisiana, of all places?
Yeah, right.
You still haven't recovered from Hurricane Katrina, but apparently you have time to require by state mandate that every school Not Morgan David.
At first I was thinking, his brother
That's
Sonny.
hilarious. Listen.
I'm like, why is he talking about brother? Okay.
Nah, he know what he's talking about.
I got it now.
Every school in the state of Louisiana is now required to have the Ten Commandments posted. For what? What are we doing?
It's funny because we want to. For years, people have been saying, bring it back to school.
Bring God back into schools.
God back into school.
Yeah.
Well, if they ain't teaching at home.
What difference?
If it's not being taught by mama and daddy. I mean, listen, they taught calculus at school. I ain't learn it.
Right. Yeah.
Let's just be honest. Matter of fact, I sat in the back of the class and I turned the book around and said, maybe if I turn the book upside down,
it might start making
sense to me because I don't know it.
Well, it's this cultural war stuff where people are trying to force, and I am a devout Christian and I advocate strongly for more Christian witness in the world and, people engaging with the church and with Jesus and all of that. But the idea of enforcing it upon institutions, which, by the way, public schools are a secular institution. They are a government institution, and there's supposed to be a separation between, and again, I'm not saying you cannot have religion in school, but you cannot compel religion on top.
Absolutely.
You could even teach it as a part of one of the many moral codes of ancient civilizations and religions, in history class and all, but to require it on walls. Who is committing adultery in the third grade?
Well, that's what I'm going to say. Can't nobody keep them all anyway, so.
The adults aren't. They certainly aren't.
Yeah. The teachers ain't.
But a good point was made. In a state like Louisiana, which falls at the bottom of a lot of state metrics and schools, they don't require free lunches for kids.
Right.
They lack in transportation in a lot of areas, but they're going to require the 10 Commandments being put on all the walls. What do we, and it's just, this is not Christianity. I want you to be very clear. Even if it's your intent to try to spread
Melanie,
Melanie,
I believe you be preaching in class.
I know she does.
I don't think you teach none of your curriculum.
Listen, you know how many students come to second because of Miss Mead? She evangelizes. She out there with the oil.
I know what the curriculum say, but today we're going to talk about Jesus Christ. Y'all all need Jesus.
Listen, she just walk in and say, one Friday. Early. But the thing is, no doubt there are values that we want to instill in our young people. Most of them are already codified in the normal rules of the school.
Right.
If you steal, you get suspended. If you lie to a teacher, you get in trouble.
If you beat up kids like Ethan,
you gonna get swung on. If you go with Ethan, you gonna get swung on. The pastor's son likes to fight. All right, but the other part is it's not Christianity. This is a prime example of Christian nationalism.
Right.
This is the idea that you need to impose and superimpose, and let's just be clear, one version and flavor of Christianity from a certain sect of Christianity upon other people.
Absolutely.
Because I bet you they won't be posting up scriptures on the wall about welcoming the stranger into your country and feeding them, or they won't be talking about looking after widows.
Because you got to put up a wall for that.
Yeah, so
you got to put up a wall for that. And like you said, it's Christian nationalism, but let's take it one. It's white Christian.
It's white Christian.
It's white Christian nationalism.
But unfortunately, there's some black folk agreeing with it.
All there was a lot more than we think. It's a lot more.
And I want to say this very clearly as a pastor, and again, devout, committed, and would love to see and want to see more influence. But I want it to come organically through the witness of people who actually believe. And let me say this: I don't want any Christians to be fooled that this is a genuine attempt to expand godliness in our world. This is an attempt to force a certain segment of power over people. They're doing it not because it's right or effective, but because they can.
Right.
Because they can.
Right.
And so Christians have to be careful that we don't allow ourselves to be manipulated, because we have been saying we want to see more godliness in our society and culture.
Right.
But the idea of prayer in school is not something Constitutionally, you can't mandate it. And it could have gone either way, but it went the way it went. For instance, you can't pray in school, but we still pray in most of our council meetings, Congress, things like that. So, but honestly, at the end of the day,
but they
the
also
prayer's on
can't
the
stop
inside.
you from having a group. Mike, roll down. I need to.
Yeah, I want to see what Scott had to say. Yeah, I love it. We understand the conservative Christian movement is not about Christ, as they don't live by those.
You want
big paragraph.
There you go.
The sermon.
Right
there you go. It's the image of portrayal.
Three points of the praise.
If you don't live by the 10 commandments, having them posted on the wall in the school does not empower the world to righteousness.
That's right.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely.
And again, I'm not. That's Rashad. I thought that was Scott. And again, I love the idea of continuing to teach our children. We celebrated the kids who learn the 10 commandments in church. And there's nothing wrong with teaching it in the community, but forcing it on people and doing it in such a theatric way. This is really for theater. Yeah. This is really a power move. And so I want Christians to never think that, oh yeah, God is moving in the world now because, they're putting the God back in schools. No, they're not. They made a power play and manipulated the name of God and the scriptures to do it.
How many times have you rolled past a sign that say click it or ticket with your seatbelt on? How many times have you seen somebody smoking weed at the bottom of it?
I done cut the whole seatbelt out the car, man. Ain't nothing to click. Ain't nothing to click. Sorry, y'all.
And Todd ain't lying. He ain't gonna put on no seatbelt.
I do
he
sometimes.
He don't follow no speeding laws.
I do sometimes because you know what? I'll be honest. I have done a little better when I'm not on the freeways. I do a little better, and sometimes I ain't had a ticket in years, bro.
You don't get tickets.
That's true.
You don't get tickets. You say your daddy's name is George Johnson, and they let you go.
All right, let me answer Jeanette McFadden right quick. My question is, how do we have in God? I don't know what that part is, but you say we trusted the courtroom, but we can't have his name in the classroom. Oh, how do we have in God we trust in the courtroom,
but we can't
have his name in the classroom? First of all, it should never comfort a true believer to see any expressions about God or affirming God in a wicked society. I don't care if it's on the dollar. I don't care if it's on a courthouse.
That's good.
Wickedness is wickedness. The secular is the secular. Jesus never demanded, nor does the scriptures demand anywhere, that secular powers and governments impose Christianity upon them. We made that up.
Right.
We made that up. Matter of fact, in God We Trust wasn't even on the dollars when it was first printed, and the coins were first printed. It was added later. Mm-hmm. It was added later. And again, why would we want In God We Trust on the courtrooms of unjust courts that mistreat people?
Yeah.
That force people to make confessions that are untrue, where cops plant evidence on black people, where black men and immigrants are mistreated, where women are raped. Yeah. We shouldn't even want In God We Trust, because that's not trusting God whatsoever. And that is not what puts God in the public space. Yeah. What puts God in the public space, whether it's the courtroom or the classroom, is not a government sanctioned sign or poster or etching on a building. It is God's people being God's people.
That's it.
Wherever they go.
Being a witness.
Whether you are quoting scriptures, which you really don't need to do. You know what you need to do? Just love folk.
Being an epistle read of all men.
Just be kind.
That's it.
Stop being a jerk. How about that? If you would not send your kid to school bullying other kids, God would be in the classroom.
Absolutely.
So I just feel like we have to kill and just totally squash the idea. This is not a Christian nation. It's not a godly nation. And for all the original intents, and some of them probably were pure, and I'm sure that they were very sincere believers who saw God as in the mix of America being formed. At the end of the day, this world is this world. It is. And this world is not our home. We keep saying it, but then we keep wondering why this home that's not our home ain't treating us like our home.
This life is like but a blinking of an eye. You're right. It is.
So, I mean, Louisiana, and here's the thing. Who's going to be the next copycat? Because somebody else is going to pop out.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And Mississippi is going to say,
it's going, it's
hold my beer. I'm putting all 613 Levitical laws on the wall next. And we won't be allowed to wear sheepskin with silk.
Yeah. Girl, y'all ain't going to be able to come outside on y'all. Come on, man. I ain't no trying to do all that.
Thank you, Pastor Tatum. And we must answer which God.
Wow. Yeah.
Which God?
Yeah. Real quick before we move on, I just saw our man Marlon, who was an avid listener. We want to say thank you, man.
Okay, go down to Marlon's last quote.
What do you say?
Marlon's back. Not to mention the God we trust shipped me on dollars, given that they throw them at strippers. Well, there goes that condolence. we were trying to show you some love, Marlon.
Show you love, Marlon. We was just trying to.
This is how we know Marlon is a comforted soul. This is how we know that all is well. Hey, man, we love you, bro. Love you.
We love
Pastor
you,
Cam,
your family, man. And I apologize
everybody.
again. I text Pastor Cam. I had to work. I would have been there.
He was hungover.
I would have been there, but I did watch it, man. Y'all all done phenomenal.
Phenomenal.
Everybody done phenomenal. Cam preached. He wore the shoes and everything.
Oh man, yeah. Cam wore he had it. He had it going.
Yeah, it was beautiful, man. Beautiful.
There's a lot of old head preachers up in there. There was a lot of old head preachers. I was gonna text my preacher brothers, the young ones, and ask, "Behold, I show you a mystery. How am I the youngest man on the podium, and I'm the only one with gray hair?"
Well, it's called.
I don't visit the right barber.
Beijing.
That's what it's called, right?
It's called Beijing.
How am I the only one in the room with gray hair?
You ain't. Trust me, you ain't. Some things are just covered.
They're just hidden. But in God we trust.
These mysteries shall be known.
Right. And so somebody did make the quote of the week that I saw about the 10 Commandments. And that was, if you want to put up the 10 Commandments, put this version up. And it was a version with them written in Hebrew. I said that was pretty clever. I thought it was pretty clever. Not the black
dark and lovely.
There was a lot of just for men going on in the room, brother.
The black slip. I used to do my beard, man. But what happens, and I think if you don't keep on doing it, it becomes red. And my beard was red.
You had that Moses going on, man.
Like, this is horrible. I was like, man, just give me gray. It is what it is.
That was comedy. And by the way, I saw your last flyer, and how light skin you gonna get, bro?
I don't know what dude. That was really an old flyer. You know, it said elect. So I was just like, you know what, I'm just throwing it. And he put hair and everything. My wife was like, I think he was just doing that to be funny, but I was like, I need something to put up tonight. So
that's funny. I love it. Hey man, y'all keep tapping in, like this, share it, tag somebody. Y'all know what time it is.
Man.
It's time for Meme of the Week.
Meme of the Week. Meme of the Week.
Welcome to Religiously Incorrect, ladies and gentlemen.
Meme of the Week. Meme of the Week.
Thank you. Send us your memes of the week.
Meme of the Week. Meme of the Week.
We are, these are all jokes. We are just playing.
All right, so this week's meme is a video meme once again, Pastor Jeff. And I like video memes because they tell a story. Mm-hmm. And they make you assume the story behind the story that's being told.
There's always a story behind the story.
Now, I've seen a lot of things in church, and this is one of the things I've seen, and it's always interesting to see. And I'll just say it like this. This is how I'll set it up. There's church happy, and then there's this happy. Punch the floor, mama. Now, I grew up playing for quartets.
First of all, the matching
suits, bro.
The matching.
I wasn't even gonna get there.
Suits.
The suits, the split suits. The red on one side and black on the other.
Those look like back in the day when cats used to pop like
right.
The mixed company jokes.
Cross-color suits. I don't know cross-color made suits. Okay, so there's something about, I'm going to call it country quartet happy, that has a whole nother
Holy slapping.
And I've seen this happen to preachers and singers. Mm-hmm. And here's a few things I saw. We're going to play it again. First of all, you came down into the danger zone.
Right.
Okay, first of all, you came down into the danger zone looking for a response. Okay, that's the first thing. If you get that close to folks, something's going to happen. And secondly, there's just something about that squalling that sets something off in people, especially these old ladies.
Well, like you said, it's that danger zone. I watched a preacher come into the danger zone at a danger zone church. Okay. You have to understand what church you at.
You got to know where you at.
You got to know. You got to read the room.
You got to scope out the room because you got to see who it is.
And you know if there's a bunch of, I'm gonna call them ecstatic praisers.
Ecstatic praisers.
and he came down, and somehow she grabbed his chain. It had the big rope in the cross.
Oh no!
I mean, he quit preaching. He walked away. He was visibly peed off.
Have you seen the one where the lady jumps?
No, this was in Warren.
Oh,
this was in Warren.
Where's this video at?
I don't even think it was a video back then.
Man,
it probably was, but it's probably a VHS.
I already know which danger church it is, and since you said it now, I already know. But I've seen the one where a boy was singing a solo, and he was like 9 years old, and the woman got happy and jumped up in the choir stand and attacked him.
A boy?
He was killing it. He was killing it. Okay, play it again. Let's watch Grandma. Let's see the point where we know it's about to be bad. Were they already trying to hold it back? No, she was just praising the Lord. And then she... Oh, there it is.
I don't know if that's praise or she was actually going after it. Now she's still throwing at the ground.
She's happy. But that's a different kind of happy.
Why is she there?
Okay, here's my question. Okay, so story after the story. Here's a story after the story. What do you do after that? Do you just go sit down?
You see what he done?
No.
He gave the mic up.
He gave the mic.
He's like, all right, you go down there.
You can have this.
Yeah, I'm done with this.
This drive was not worth it. But if you're that lady.
Ain't nobody come see me, Otis.
Ain't nobody come to see. What do you do after that? Do you just sit down and enjoy the rest of the service?
She probably, I can guarantee you, after it was over, she probably came up and apologized. And I'm so sorry, I didn't mean to.
No, I think her granddaughter or somebody came up and apologized.
Somebody apologized.
Right. There's a lot of things. We've seen a lot of things. I have yet to be run up on, and I take that as a sign that I have not. I've not preached my best sermon yet.
Well, run up on me and you're going to blunt back. I can tell you that much right now.
Jeff said if you run up, you're going to get done up in Jesus' name.
You run up on me.
That's what Pastor Jeff said.
Too many people getting shot in churches and beat up in church. I ain't the one. I'm going to tell you now.
Listen, we have already that's my turn, boo. We've already had so many people walk up unauthorized in our church. I don't have trust in nobody. They don't move that fast. Here's how bad it was. Mike can attest to this. Here's how bad it was today. A dude made it to the altar on a walker, and nobody stopped him.
Yeah, he sure did.
Good brother. I know the brother. I know who he is. It wasn't a danger. But he scooted all the way up on the walker, and nobody. He might have beat me with the walker. But you never know. Purses being thrown. You know, Elder Carter has threatened several times that she's going to throw her purse at me. I believe her. You know, I believe her. I believe that that's going to happen eventually. But, you know, I think it's just we have so many different expressions
Elder Carter
of praise.
got coach bag. She ain't throwing no coach bag.
She ain't throwing no coach bag. Nah. If I see her walk in with a cheap purse, I know it's about to go down. It's about to go down. All right, y'all, if you have a meme, you know what to do. Send it to us at religiouslyincorrectpodcast@gmail.com. That's where we get some of these funny memes from. Make sure they're funny, make sure they're good, and make sure we haven't seen them 1,000 times. We've been at this game for a while. We've seen a little bit of stuff. You know what I'm over now, though, Pastor Jeff, is I'm over just like people singing off key kind of stuff, like innocent mistakes in church, teeth falling out. Like, we've seen that. Don't send me the teeth falling out, because one day my teeth are going to fall out. And I would rather not be in a probably intergalactic meme. It'll be by then. It'll be a interstellar meme. So send us your memes and we appreciate it. Moving on, Religiously Incorrect Podcast is brought to you by the Phillips Family Care of Businesses. Yes, they're the ones about these beautiful chairs. Check them out for all of your lawn care needs. Lawn care starting at $30. They've been in business for over a decade. They know what they're doing. They're not going to tear your lawn up. Call Fernando at 330-219-7916. And while you're at it, check out Phillips Care Cleaning Service. Indoor, outdoor, move in, move out. You got somebody ain't living up to snuff, man ain't treating you right, call Phillips Care. Put his stuff on the curb. Don't pull a muscle throwing all this stuff out there. Let them do it.
Absolutely.
They'll take care of you. They'll get that bum out. You got a 45-year-old man that won't grow up, still living in your mama's basement. Mama, call Phillips Care. They will take care of that. Not only can you call 219-7916, but you can look them up on Facebook at Phillips Care LLC.
And we are also brought to you by Action, the Alliance for Congregational Transformation, influencing our neighborhoods. Listen, Warren, be on the lookout. We are excited. Trumbull County, period. We are excited. We're about to unlaunch and unveil our new mobile market truck, mobile truck. It is coming up here. It is right on the grass. So we're about to come up here and we're about to come up here in full force. I'm going
to drive it onto the field in the middle of the Harding game. Be like, who wants some oxtails? Who wants some oxtails?
Hey, that might be a good idea.
Park that sucker out there.
Park it out there. Somebody wants something. Somebody wants something. As much as they charge for a fry.
It's going to be excellent. Where's the new logo? I love my logo. You know, my glasses have changed 3 times since then.
No, he's talking about the Action logo.
Oh, the new Action. You're right. You're right, Pastor Kid. We got to stop slipping. We got to put the new Action logo up. Well, we're going to get it right. We apologize. Next week.
Mike said next week is done.
Okay, they about to jump on. They're about to call a whole meeting over this logo now. Lord have mercy. All right, y'all. Well, here's the topic of tonight's show. I call it Revive Us Again.
Revive us again.
Hallelujah, thine the glory. Hallelujah, amen. Hallelujah, thine the glory. Revive us again. Now, I brought this up, Pastor Jeff, because I preached my first, and I'll just say, traditional revival service.
Okay.
And probably since the pandemic.
Wow.
Probably since the pandemic. My first time preaching a traditional revival service Wednesday night, went down to Denison, Ohio, the Mount Olive Missionary Baptist Church in Denison. Reverend Dr. William J. Blake is a pastor, my good friend from YSU, invited me down for their revival. 3-day revival, 3 different preachers, good old-fashioned Baptist revival. Mm-hmm. Good old-fashioned Baptist revival. And I thought to myself, what happened to revivals? Now, I've been invited to like anniversary services. Right. They're like conferences. We had a phenomenal Pentecost Sunday fellowship service, unity service on Pentecost at the Mount Calvary Pentecostal Church. Shout out to Bishop C. Sean Tyson. Love you much, my brother, and one of our fathers in the gospel. But that idea of just being invited, whether as a preacher or as a church. Now, this time I didn't push it out to the church. It's an hour and 45-minute drive. I'm sure some wouldn't mind. But Lord have mercy on a Wednesday night.
Right.
That's a lot.
It is.
You know. And so I just had Brother Ingram drive me down and get me back. And I enjoyed the atmosphere. You know, not no massive church or anything like that. But that's the thing. Once upon a time, Pastor Jeff, you didn't have to be mega or massive to put on a good revival. And I don't even know where to start, but I kind of want to just talk about what was the original purpose and spirit of revivals as you were growing up, you know, in church?
Man, we had so many. First, you know, you want to talk about revival. You talk about tent revivals.
Tent revivals.
Tent revival.
Fall revival, spring revivals.
Fall revival, spring revival. Like you said, I just done one for Bishop Moore. You know, he had a whole week.
Holy Week revivals, Pentecost revival.
Yeah, Holy Week revival. I was the first night. Beautiful. Had a beautiful time.
Nobody came back after that.
Had a beautiful time down there. But, you know, it's so different now. And I don't know. I can't stand when people keep on saying COVID changed everything, but it kind of like, you know, it just hasn't been the same.
You hate to be that fussing figure, but it's hard to live with that COVID changed everything talk
Right.
when it seems to have changed everything in church and nowhere else.
Would you please say that?
That's the struggle for me.
That is it.
If everything else was stripped down to bare bones, I would be like, okay, COVID changed everything. Our kids go to school, but there's no extracurricular activities. Only the most essential stores or events are happening in the city. There are no little side events or, nothing extra. Because that's what we keep saying. We have to strip down all the extra.
Yep.
We have to take out all that time you expect me to be here. And I'm like, do you see the way my kids are running me around for all these school events and the way all these different things are happening in our culture, all different things happening in our community? Like nobody, matter of fact, we probably added more stuff.
Yep.
In the worldly sense, the more we've stripped down stuff in the church sense, and revivals and week services and night services. We talked about night service, Sunday afternoon services and stuff like that. We're talking specifically about the old school Wednesday, Thursday, Friday revivals. Used to be Friday, Saturday, and Sunday revivals where the pastor would finish the revival on Sunday morning. Or the pastor would just get up and call a revival on Sunday morning. And the folk just got to come out the next night or Sunday night, or a revivalist or guest speaker. And I know Mike grew up on this, come to town and speak on Sunday morning and decide to stay for 3-4 more days.
Yes.
And they just have services.
Just make them up.
Just out the blue.
Just
make them up.
They ain't stopping for nobody. So I feel like there are a lot of missed elements to our community and church when we miss out on some of those things. Now, I'm not asking for people to just do busy work.
Right.
And I think that's what we think of a lot. Oh, we don't need to do all that old stuff because it was just old and it didn't have no meaning or nothing. I think what happened was we may have robbed it of its meaning and then decided it was meaningless because we diminished the meaning in ourselves. It lifts a huge offering. Well, what would a revival be without one? I mean,
I don't know how huge those offerings really was.
they wasn't. Them checks wasn't huge. And by the way, and they weren't even checks. When you used to do revivals and preach a revival.
Listen, you got to change and everything. You got to change and everything.
But all y'all that think that y'all preachers living high, listen, maybe TD Jakes. The rest of us, they take up that last offering after you preach.
And they take it to the back.
Bruh.
And take what they want. And they give you the rest.
And even if they don't, you get whatever you get.
You get what you get.
I literally have come home with like $87.19.
Absolutely.
From like an hour and a half away.
Absolutely.
I mean, it literally all the pennies you can hear them rolling around.
And this is what they say. They say, we can't pay the preacher.
You should.
You can't pay for a good word.
But
this at least get your little chicken.
So here's the funny thing. We went from we can't pay for the gospel to send me your W-9.
Right.
Send me your W-9. We've advanced.
Yes.
But we've lost it. And so I think a few things have been lost in the revival-less church. Okay. First of all, preaching opportunities have been lost.
Yes.
There are less preaching.
Not $20.
No, that's about right.
$20.
That's about right.
Yeah, you was the musician.
I was the
You was the musician.
Man, listen, you'd be lucky to get $25 and a free plate from the chicken dinners they selling downstairs.
And then you
had
had
be
to,
lucky.
You had to get up when somebody better came in.
Right. Oh, $13 and 9 of the $13 came from the 9 people I took. And you want to know why churches bring their own folk? Because that's where the offering gonna come from. The offering gonna come from your own people. K-Wan said the blacks. Okay, listen. And you're right. Okay, so this was my Wednesday night revival, President Harrison. God bless you, President Harrison. Dr. Wingfield, we having a time tonight. You're right. This revival was like a 25-person revival, and it was a great time.
Yeah.
It was a great time. Only thing that ticked me off was that mic kept going out. I'm like, how is this dude singing in the good mic all night long? And then they gave me that Casio cordless that if you holler too loud, it starts to go out.
So then you have these revivals, and the pastor, first you got to bring in 2 different choirs. because you're trying to fill the place up.
Right.
You got to bring in 2 different choirs, and you got to make sure they choir got to come down and your choir got to come up.
Right.
You know, and then you bring in somebody else to MC the revival.
You got to do the welcome, the response,
all of that.
Yeah.
So you doing all this stuff just to, but
it was good. And then other times they would, and won't give you the singing mic. Thank you. Dude was killing it in the singing mic. Killing it. I'm like, oh man, it's about to be on. He handed me that little mic. I could feel the weight. I'm like, does this have batteries in it? Is this one of the Echo mics you used to get at Kmart for the babies?
Never mind, I'll just talk. It's only 25 y'all here anyway.
But here's the thing. So you lose preaching opportunities. You lose fellowship opportunities. Because we don't have the night services, the saints don't see each other as much.
Absolutely.
And the sad thing is, I'm not sure the saints want to see each other as much. But I'll say that they do, but they have become less acclimated to seeing each other. So it becomes either a strange thing where everybody's standoffish, okay, where they don't know how to act around each other. And we're just getting to know each other again.
Not the fried chicken.
Not the fried chicken.
Not the fried chicken.
Oh, pound cake, Faygo pop, because they never give you. They never give you name. Black churches don't believe in name brand pop.
Ain't no way.
Faygo is the way to go. But
now, Pastor Michael Harrison, he still does his outside.
He'll just go outside any given day.
He loved it. Listen,
he went outside for Father's Day.
They tried to get me to go outside for Father's Day. It's going to be 90 degrees. We got this nice
air conditioned church. No, sir.
I'm going right inside.
Well, we used to have a nice air conditioned church before this. This is the wrong week to blow a fuse. Up in there looking like, let my people go. But anyway, you lose fellowship. But then another thing happens on the flip side. When you do come together, it's such an explosion because it's such a novel idea that our people, I can't live saved outside. Come on down to the studio, K1. We need your energy. But people, here's what happens. Because we don't have revivals and fellowships like we used to, it's such a novel idea.
It is.
It feels like a concert, like a reunion with people. People don't even know who goes to whose church anymore.
Right.
You be like, I didn't know you went here. You know what I mean? It's just that's how, because we're all confined to Sunday mornings now. So I think that's what we lose. And I'll just be honest. Here's the other side. Not to sound deep, but we also lose opportunity for extended, and I would like to say, not casual is not the right word for it, but unofficial spiritual fervency that's not tied to Sunday morning routine.
Yeah.
Because revival provided space in every kind of church. I don't care if you were Holiness Pentecostal,
Absolutely.
if you were Baptist. Listen, if that wasn't a quartet concert, that same lady was going to attack a preacher at somebody's revival.
Absolutely.
Wasn't going to happen on a Sunday morning. Wasn't going to happen on Sunday morning, but I bet you it had to happen on a Thursday night.
Absolutely.
At somebody's revival. So there is a certain spiritual energy.
Or at least a certain spiritual expectation.
And you know why?
From coming to a revival.
There it is.
There's an expectation.
Because if you would come out on a Thursday night in the summertime, you came to have church.
You came to have church.
People get up all kind of Sundays just to get up. They ain't got nowhere to go. Make a stop in at church before they go to brunch.
It's routine.
Revival is an intention.
You are intentionally going.
It is a goal. People come in there like, I hope I get prophesied to.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I hope I wish get prophesied to. And the amazing thing about it is that it often does happen. So let's talk about the different kind of revivals, by the way. All right. I don't even think it's plugged in. Okay.
There you go.
We good. We were good without it. Okay. So Elder Carter, I want to tap into that because I'm kind of sort of that guy. I'm kind of almost hooper. I'm not quite there yet. I haven't lifted my leg over the podium or anything like that. Or
man, that video killed me every time I see it.
But let me just say this: a good whooping preacher revival, a good hooping preacher revival, that's a good church. I want to say this real clear. I will be very selective about who I bring to a revival. Don't teach me.
Why?
Don't come
Why?
and teach me.
Why?
You need to scream these pews down.
Jump, run off the pulpit,
The Lord
run
is
up
good.
and down,
He's going to make a way.
walk the pews.
We did not come here for a doggone theological seminary course. I'm not saying you can't have some good meat. I'm not saying I just want you to holler off the jump.
Yeah.
Hey, give me something that will feed my soul. Give me something that will spark my mind. But listen.
By the end,
Listen, bruh. And you know what? I'm going to go a step further. There's a lot of preachers, because we've gone overboard trying to diminish hooping. Mm-hmm. And I know it's not everybody's style and should not be everybody's style. It is not what feeds everybody. I get it. It is not how everybody receives on a Sunday in their normal course. But there are some folk that are diminishing the hooping and the revivals because they can't hang. That's extra money for all that. After a good hooping preacher, listen, I just go ahead and give him a bottle of Febreze when I'm leaving. Because that spit smell is going to be incredible. And you know worst thing? There is nothing worse. Because Alfie, you know, you're the associate. I've been the associate. Ain't nothing worse than having to get up after the hooping preacher.
Oh, my God.
And try to speak in that spit mic after they got done.
If you don't got two mics, it is just horrible. You bet. Oh, my God. That is. Woo.
But tear up. And you know what? Here's the thing.
Grab your ear.
There's a lot of younger preachers or teaching preachers who can't hang. And because they can't hang, they try to kill that style of service just because it don't fit you. Mm-hmm. They try to talk it down. They try to diminish it. Again, if it's not your style, it's not your style. But please stop acting like a hooping preacher is not teaching, is not giving meat, did not say something before they hoop, because the vast majority of them do. Only a few actually get up and just talk nonsense and hoop. And we can see them right away. Half the time the folk ain't even with them when they do that stuff.
Absolutely.
Not even with them. But there's a fervency, man. And so there's the revival, the traditional Baptist style revival a lot of times would just might be a guest choir, but normally the guest pastor's choir comes, basically does the service. And the funny thing about it, let's just be clear. The way it could be done, and has been done many times, is the guest pastor and choir come as a tool of revival for the host church.
Right.
Their second comes to Steubenville to help revive Steubenville.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So all the work isn't all on you guys. You can receive as our choir is singing and I'm preaching, and vice versa.
Right.
And so when you lose that, because now we don't have choirs, and we started losing the choir coming with you, and deacons. Remember revival? Deacons get up and do devotions together.
Devotional service, yes.
And they do it together.
Yes.
I want the deacons from all the churches
to come up.
Come on up.
Come on up.
Even in the Cody church, whoever want to do praise and worship with us, we're gonna do some testimony. Mm-hmm. They would just get up.
If y'all know the song.
If y'all know the song.
if y'all know the song.
Y'all know the song. Just come on up. We gonna sing that song. Everybody knows.
The reason I love this, because when you said you want to talk about this, I actually just told Second that I want to do a fall revival. I want to do a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then Friday I want to bring in a gospel artist.
Kirk Franklin's coming to Steubenville, y'all.
Yeah, we ain't about to do that. I am Kirk of Steubenville. I am Kirk of Steubenville. But here's the thing. One of the biggest obstacles of revival is when you're having 3 nights, who you going to bring? Who you gonna bring?
Okay.
Who's going to, and I know a lot of people say, well, we want to bring somebody who's gonna bring folk with them, but
that's a real consideration, y'all.
It is a real consideration. It is that every pastor has to look at.
Okay, can we be honest?
It's religiously incorrect.
Does anybody want to hear this person?
Right.
Is anybody going to walk in this room because this person is preaching?
Right.
Or am I just going to drag some folk here out of obligation and they got to suffer with me because I promised my friend I would have them back at my church? I mean, come on, let's be honest. I saw a friend or I saw somebody out, made that weak promise. Yeah, I'm going to have you over sometime, Doc. And now I got to slot the field and I feel obligated to call them. But people got to want to hear. And again, some preachers are good with revival services. They're good with what they do. So who do you bring? Like you said, 2-3 nights. Or who do you bring that can carry 3 nights by themselves? and do it well.
Now let me help y'all
I
out.
used to do 5 nights.
Let me help y'all out. If the service is Monday through Friday and you got Wednesday,
Oh yeah, you're
you got the
not
Wednesday
it.
show.
you're not it. You're not it.
You ain't get the closing or the finishing.
Unless, now here's the only exception. If you are the top dollar famous national preacher who's only available in the middle of the week.
Yeah.
Because they ain't giving up Fridays.
Yeah, right.
They ain't giving up Fridays for you. Ain't nobody giving up their Friday to come to Warren. TD is not coming to Warren on a Friday. He's like, nah, it's Tuesday, Doc. You got me on a Tuesday.
You got Tuesday the 13th. That's
Tuesday,
it.
right.
That is it.
Right. But that's the thing. Wait, okay, that's a great one, Alfie. Waiting on the revivalists to get there. You got to fill up the service because the guest preacher has not arrived yet. Now, I did that one time at Pastor Bowie's church.
I remember I was there. I was waiting on you.
Because we were all the way across the state doing a tour, my dad and I, and we were flying to get back, and I had to get home and get changed. And I want to talk about that in a second, Jason. And I mean, I came in the door sweating, literally walked in the door, and they called my name when I was preaching.
And it's funny because I'm sitting there waiting. They're like, "Is he coming?" And I'm texting and calling you, and I'm like, "I'm ready." If you ain't,
Jeff was like,
I take
if
this
you don't
check.
come, I'm ready.
I take this check.
You can scratch his name out.
I am his associate at this point.
He said, I know somebody that'll cash it for me. He said, I would take that check straight to red and white.
Hey, I'm ready.
I would take that to the corner store.
Bowie, I done been in several Bowie revivals. Bowie have had some fire revivals.
Oh, yeah.
He's had some fire
And they're
revivals.
usually timely.
Very timely.
They're very timely.
Greater friendship. Yes, sir.
And some of those Baptist revivals, you got to remember, in a Baptist revival, okay, here's the difference between Baptist and Kojic. In a Baptist revival, you are preaching in the first 45 minutes.
You are.
There is no long, drawn-out service. Like when I was in the Kojic church with my wife or even preacher wasn't getting up till 9 o'clock.
Right.
Preacher was not getting up in Pentecostal holding his church till 9 o'clock. Baptist church service started at 7. Preachers get up at 7:45.
7:45.
I mean, early.
And you out by 7:30.
So back to what Pastor Jeff said, who are you going to bring? So there's the other side. Do you bring in someone prominent? Now, here's the thing. Reginald Sharp, Marcus Crosby. They are national names, but fewer and fewer people in our congregations really know who they are. Now, I will say this, with the internet age being what it is and knowing full well that a lot of our members are watching other people, they are getting to know who these people are and they're watching them faithfully.
Yeah.
And if I were to get up in my pulpit and say, E. Dewey Smith is coming to town, Reginald Sharp is coming to town. Some names that you don't think people know, they do know. Howard John Wesley is coming to town. He was just in New Salem. I almost left our church to go down to New Salem. Listen, here's how torn I was.
Howard John Wesley.
I know y'all was hot and miserable today, but I was miserable too because I had Marvin McMickle in Youngstown, Howard John Wesley in Columbus. I really didn't want to be in Warren today. I was hoping I could be in one of those two places. But again, so people are seeing some of that excellent preaching out there, and we see it too. We want to bring it.
Please understand, it doesn't guarantee you the crowd that who did we bring? We brought somebody. What was the white guy that used to be at the Azusa? He died.
Earl Paul?
No, he was real. He was white, but he was an archbishop. Veron Ash.
Oh, Veron Ash.
We brought Veron Ash
before the fall.
Yeah, before the fall, we brought Veron Ash in. I mean, the boy could preach.
You have to know to know.
But it didn't bring the crowd.
People didn't come. And you assume, and so here's the funny thing. I run into this with gospel artists and the same things with preachers. Your favorite preacher or singer can be a total unknown to everybody else.
Absolutely.
And I could have 10 people in my church like, bring this person. And the other 500 members are like, who? And honestly, people are not programmed to come to these extra services like they used to. They don't really care who you bring in. And there is this tier system now where if it is not literally this very exclusive club, unless it's a very exclusive club, you're talking like a TD Jakes, a Jamal Harrison Bryant, a very tight pinnacle of people. few of them can really even just pack out one of our decent sized churches these days. Few of them.
I guess the question is,
I watched Bishop Clark bring Jamal Harrison Bryant and Marcus Crosby, and we didn't need that packed church down there.
And I guess the question is, if you have a smaller size church and you know you're struggling to do this or do that, why are you paying?
The good news is,
I don't.
Contrary to popular opinion, the good news is there are a lot more preachers who will come for what you have to offer. Okay? There's a lot more preachers who will come for what you have to offer. And a lot more preachers seem to be, or maybe they were always willing, and I just didn't know it because I wasn't in them circles, willing to preach at smaller churches. There's a lot of pastors and bishops that will preach in smaller churches that we see as national. And the next week you can see them at one of our churches.
Absolutely.
And so a lot of times it's, having a relationship or a connection to be able to, make a quality connection and find out who they are and how to make a connection so that you can invite them. But a lot of times they'll all say the same thing. Now, some of them will just tell you what they need. And a lot of people get offended by this, but because they do travel with an assistant or an organist or whatever, and so they need some expenses to be covered, and you just kind of get an idea, well, if I'm paying this much in expenses, I need to pay as well, in an honorarium. But there aren't as many people asking people, thank you, Pastor Harrison. And I think that's on the church. That's on the pastors. And as much as we don't want to have the revivals and the traditional, you said it right, President Harrison, about a lot of churches were scaling back even prior to the pandemic. That's fine, but that doesn't mean we have to throw out the entire thing.
Right.
Some of the things that we could do is maybe do a one-night revival. Like I was thinking of doing like a one-night citywide service and bring in someone prominent. You don't have to worry about trying to carry 3 nights. Yeah. You don't have to worry about a 5-night situation. And I think that can be beneficial. And if it's a one-night only kind of situation, folk that's going to come is going to come.
Yeah, and I think one night is a lot easier on your
church, your staff.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Take a Wednesday when you would normally do a Bible study or something. And, right in the middle of the week. And like we said, we joked about it, but if it's a one-day thing and you just do a nice Wednesday or Thursday night service, that could be a wonderful blessing to your community. And again, we have to, as pastors, get back to asking and inviting and not being afraid to reach out. But I'll be honest, as a pastor, we have a decent sized church, in our area, in the city, and it still feels so beyond to even reach out to some of these people because you feel like, who am I to invite them?
Yeah.
Who am I?
Well, I've seen a lot of these pastors on Facebook with the, I'm
booking,
doing revivals. I'm booking.
Okay. Well,
I'm booking revivals for the rest of the summer.
Okay. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about professional revivalists.
I'm Bishop No Name. I'm Bishop No Name from Warren, Ohio. Please book me. Please book me.
If you have to put on a flyer that says available for bookings, and then you start listing stuff, I'll MC your concert. I'll do your bar mitzvah. Are you having a Wiccan conference? I'll come to that. I'll change religions for you. And you're absolutely right, Elder Alfie. A lot of people are being pastored over the internet. It's like football. Sometimes the trouble of going to a stadium is not worth the comfort of your own homes, eating wings you can afford, watching at the big. Watching at the big. You've seen it, Elder Harrison. Pastor Harrison. I have never had to pass out a business card and say, please invite me to preach. And President Harrison, Dr. Wingfield, is it not awkward? Now, so the one side of the spectrum is, I don't know if I feel qualified or connected enough to reach out to people I'd like to reach out to. Mm-hmm. Then there's the awkwardness of people asking you to have you at their church. Is there any more awkward request for a pastor than for someone to see you out in public? We could be in the middle of the Black Fest, and somebody would say, Doc, you need to have me at your church. Just you saying that phrase lets me know I do not need to have you
at my church.
At my church. Mm-mm. No preacher worth their salt should ever be offering themselves or inviting themselves or pressuring a preacher to let them come. You got to let me come preach to your folk. I'm like, what do you want me to say to that? Because the truth of the matter is, you're garbage.
Then you got the prophet. I got to work. I got to work for your church. I got to work.
And it's almost always people that can't preach. Because if you could preach, you would be getting asked.
You would be getting asked.
To preach.
Somewhere.
You'd be getting asked. Somebody, you know how they say there's somebody for everybody? There's some ministry out there.
That's going to tell you, bring the folk from all right. Come on from
the outside.
Come on from out back.
Come on in from the outside. Exactly, K1. They quit their job early. Mm-hmm. Some of them told their wife they're going into full-time ministry. And they quit. Alfie means holy no, by the way. And that's the problem. They don't have anybody to preach to. And let's go back to inviting.
I got you, Doc. I'm gonna get you on the 6th Sunday of January. Next January. I'm gonna get you on the 6th Sunday of next January.
I'm gonna call you October 32nd. The year of our Lord. There it is, Pastor Tatum. I'm in town. I can preach for you.
Yes.
I'm in town.
Yes.
I can preach for you. That's so awkward.
It's really awkward.
And I'm really like, no, you cannot. No, I'm not even sure.
Then you have ones who just show up on Sunday.
They just show up.
They just show up.
And in the old school, we would just get put up if we showed up. Mm-hmm. I don't think people do that anymore. You know,
you don't know what they're going to say.
You have no idea what it's going.
You have no idea what they're going to say.
Wasn't that mostly on Sunday nights when people would just show up?
Sunday nights when people just show up.
That was like that night.
And you were the preacher.
Yeah.
You show up, you better have a word. You better have something.
Well, Doc, since you're here,
Chat GPT or do something. Boy, I wish we had Chat GPT when I was a minister coming up, boy, because they would call us up off the clear blue sky. And there is Pastor Wingfield. Thank you, Dr. Wingfield. Then you've got to unpreach the preach that they preach.
Yes.
Lord.
Yes.
Then you've got to unpreach the preach that they preached. You know you got the wrong guy if the saints are staring you down after they sit down.
Oh, my God.
And I've been there.
And listen, Deacon Willoughby will tell you.
Listen.
Don't you ever.
He'll say, that's enough.
He ain't coming back here no more.
He ain't coming back here no more. He was like, don't do that again, Doc. Do not do that again. And so that leads me into my next thing, because different revivalists or preachers are fit for different churches. Mm-hmm. So to be honest, a Second Baptist church, and I ain't scared of nobody. I'm not trapped in tradition. This is my conviction as much as anybody else's. But we're not necessarily the prophetic revivalist church. We're the come preach a word and sit down church. We're not even, now you got to buy them food now. You got to feed them because they in town. But we're not the prayer line church even.
Right.
It would have to be a special, and it's not that we don't believe in prophecy. It is not that we don't believe in tongues. It's not that we don't believe in prayer lines or praying for people. We believe in all of that. But here's what I don't believe in, and we don't believe in. We don't believe in that being a systematic practice. Every night when I walk in your church, this gonna happen.
So let me ask you this.
It's got to be a move of God.
So let me ask you this. Because you've been known, and you've brought in different people.
I brought in a little bit of everybody.
You brought in different people.
Right.
Are you opposed to saying to that person, this is how our church operates?
Yes.
And
I'm not opposed. No, I'm not opposed.
It might not be a good idea to speak in tongues for half an hour.
I don't feel like I have to say, but first of all,
you shouldn't have to.
I shouldn't have to. And you know what? If I invite somebody I have to say that to, I've invited the wrong person. If I, at the stage of life that I am in the church that I pastor right now, and the opportunities I've been given, the wisdom that I have gained, and Lord knows I had to gain, I've preached inappropriately at some churches. I've done some things as a young minister and thankfully grown from them that I wish I hadn't have done. If I invite somebody I have to give a speech to about what to do and what not to do, I invited the wrong person. I invited the wrong person.
Don't they usually ask first?
Some will ask.
Some will.
And to be honest, it's like that old man that cuts hair. They might ask you what you want, but they're going to cut the way they want to cut at the end of the day anyway. So when I do invite somebody, I just assume they're going to do what they would do. And I prepare myself, embrace myself. And I believe, to be honest, the church. Listen, K1.
Not 3,600.
I already got it. K1, all you got to do is preach a sermon and go out in the foyer and sell them calendars you be making. And with them naked firemen.
That's it. That's it.
The firemen with nothing but an axe standing in front of them.
And you know how the preachers get up and they say, I've written a book. K1 can say, I got this calendar. Naked we came into
right. Naked we came into this
surely.
And naked you gonna pay for this calendar. Okay, but thank you, Brother Stanley. If you have to tell them, but again, there are going to be different people. We have had Pentecostal, Kojic, Apostolic. We've had a little bit of everything. And let's be clear, nobody's that dumb. You know what you're getting. If I invite Mount Calvary Pentecostal Church, we about to have a Pentecostal experience. And we know it. And so you don't lose your identity. And we don't even, it's not a joke. It's not a carnival. It's not an exhibition. It is genuine ecumenical fellowship and worship in a different environment and approach than you normally might experience. But that also might help to engage that other church to their call and to their level in God of what he's doing in that church, to open up a few doors and approach a few things without becoming something you're not. And honestly, I've noticed that we've had that same impact on other people. There have been people who have come to me from other contexts. Let's just say very Holy Ghost filled, but not terribly organizationally astute, who would see the way we run a service and see it spirit filled still and be like, oh, I see some stuff I could tighten up with the way I do things. I don't have to sit around. Like literally cats have been like, yo, bruh, next time I do a revival service or a service, I'm gonna do it like you guys did. I'm gonna try to keep this down to 2.5 hours instead of 4. And I'm like, yeah, bro, you do not have to sit there and do all that stuff for the first 90 minutes just to get another just to get a guest up.
And I've seen a lot of the cross denominations.
The ecumenical fellowship has been.
I think it's been great. I've seen Pastor,
by the way,
President Harrison has done a lot of bringing, I've seen, like you said, Calvary's, Reverend Simon has.
We done brought everybody.
Paramore has.
And this isn't the discussion, but since we're talking about revivals being a fellowship and a unity opportunity, this is why I get so sick of the cheap talk about denominations and why denominations are worthless. To us, they don't matter. They only matter to you who matter.
Right.
They only matter if you, and some people just want a cheap point to talk about. They just do. You cannot look at the modern church and the way we are intermingled and think for 1 second that any of us are really hung up. I don't even have to say we're not hung up on denominations, because it's apparent that we're not by the people that have come. If all Second Baptist brought in was Mississippi Mass Choir and Jasper Williams, then you could say that we were sticking to ourselves. But we done brought in everybody from across the spectrum, non-denominational, full gospel Baptist, Church of God in Christ, apostolic, and we still know who we are when the night is over. You know what I mean? So absolutely. I think revival gives us those opportunities that we have to really carve out. Tell them, I should do that. Tell them we have no air and see if they still want to come. We gonna find out who the real servants are tonight.
Listen, there's some who will come. Well, listen, they don't care what you get.
My cousin Kevin did that to me when I went to preach a couple years. I think the year before at his church. He was like, "Oh yeah, man, we ain't got no air right now," and I'm like, "Well, you ain't got no preacher right now." But no, I mean, and so, one thing it matters that a church fits, and I have to think, just like I talk about music, who would fit second? I can only do so much stretching.
But one of the things I've started to notice, even at second where I am now, a lot of the members have crossed over from Kojic that now belong to second. So we have. We have
a mixture.
We used to call it melting pot.
Right.
And we really do. And so to bring somebody in who actually, may go there where they have been.
And these folk, and so here's the funny thing, and I have one of these churches, and I don't mind saying it. We have, Reverend Carter was here today. He's talking about the air. but
Not anointed flesh.
K1 is on one tonight. K1 is on one tonight. But you may forget what I was going to say, man.
I don't know. That was
But
prayer
I was
clause.
going to say that it matters who you bring and that they can minister effectively to the crowd you have. They have to be able to minister effectively to the crowd. And a good preacher will not create a problem for the host pastor.
Shitting.
There it is.
Shitting. Please don't.
A good preacher would not create a problem for the host pastor.
Please don't make me have to have a Zoom with everybody after you leave about how crazy.
I have to pull that woman to the side and be like, no, that's not your husband. I don't care what that prophet said.
That is not your man.
That's not your man.
Leave him alone.
Leave him alone. Don't. He's on drugs. Don't do that. Don't listen to him.
Old school preachers would get up though right after it was over and just
Let's rebuke you.
Rebuke you.
Set it straight. Let me set the house straight. Whatever it might be.
I don't care if this is your church.
I don't care if this is. The Holy Ghost is moving in
The
here.
Holy Ghost is moving. I was just telling you, sir. I don't care what you said.
Okay.
Hand me my towel.
Cussing Bishop. Okay, and so while we're on the subject, so I'm bothered by people, and I don't care what you call them, they're revivals. Okay, let's just stop right here. I don't care what you call them.
I know where you're going.
They're revivals.
I know exactly where you're going.
People who are having conferences, convocations, glory nights, whatever you want to call it, the night of glory, the night. Go ahead and say your phrase.
Which one?
Song of the Lord. Song of the Lord. Mind manifestation. I don't care. And then, okay, these are people who usually don't want to go or commit to anybody's church, but would like to rent your church to have a revival. I don't respect the ministry. I don't feel it's worth it. You're all stuck in tradition. Nobody wants to come to the same thing over and over again. And you will do the same thing that we were doing. And I don't care what you call. I'm so sick of y'all acting like you're doing something different. You just used a different sound on the keyboard than we use. That's all you did. You sat there and held that chord for an hour and thought that was better than playing the organ. And so now I want to rent a church that I don't respect. I think it's trapped in tradition, stuck in denomination or whatever. But now let me rent your church. Bless me with your church so that I can come in and do exactly what you already do or already have planned, and I'll act like there's no spirit in what you do, but there's all the spirit in what I do. For me, Alfie already said it, you could put it up. The answer is H, no. The answer, because the revival is for the church, not for a bunch of free agent prophets running around looking for a free building to try to gain some personal cash apps.
If you want to be different, take your revive, whatever you want to call it, your song of the Lord.
Get a hotel room.
And go get days in and use a conference room. And you can splash as much oil all.
You could probably use a suite. You could probably fit them all in a double bed. But I'm just bothered because let's just be clear. You can change the name all you want. It's a revival.
It's a revival.
It's a revival. It's a guest preacher.
If you're bringing in 3 speakers
music
for 3 days, it's a revival. Just call it what it is.
Call it what it is.
Just call it what it is.
It's a revival. So there are some people who are anti-revival. There is, and we wouldn't know this because we weren't raised like this, but you'd be surprised to know that there is an entire Christian thought that is anti-revival and doesn't believe in revivals. And their feeling is the church is not dead. Mm-hmm. To revive something means that something is dead and it came back to life. This is real.
Yeah.
And they feel that the idea of revival is antithetical to who the church ought to be. And that's very strong. An actual very strong belief. that we don't have revivals because our church is not dead and never has been?
Real quick.
Yeah.
I'm anti-revival because we had one that's supposed to be 1 week and it ended up being 6 months. So I'm
6 months.
So I'm anti-revival.
You're not anti-revival. You're traumatized and you need counseling.
You're anti-foolishness.
Right. But I get it. But so I get what they're saying, but I think that's I don't like when people make arguments. And sometimes I feel like it's an exercise in superiority. Like, same reason that the other extreme side says that they're doing a glory night and not a revival. It's the same thing, but you're calling it. I think you're playing on words.
Right.
We are not saying the church is dead. We're saying that in the life of the church, and they were often strategically, if you notice, set, normally spring or fall.
Right.
Fall coming out of summertime, when people have been kind of in a lull, getting back into routines, and springtime when it's getting ready to get warm, like after Easter or
Absolutely.
that kind of thing. But I think what we're saying is that there is always a time, funny thing, we keep talking about being non-traditional, to break up the routine of the Sunday, Wednesday schedule, the rehearsals and all that, kind of put things on hold just to spend time with God and to hear different voices and express worship in different ways.
And like you said earlier, that if I'm going to come, I'm coming with the expectation. I'm not, if I'm getting off work at 4:00, getting home,
Man, listen.
getting dressed, putting on
Right.
whatever I'm putting on to come halfway across, the town to come to this revival, I have an expectation of what's going to happen. And I think it suggests to the whole group of people who are there that, we came to really have church.
Right.
And to be revived.
Right.
And some people do need it.
I do think that there is a critical question that is necessary. Wow, that's a good question. And that was going to lead me into my question, so I want to read what Sister Johnson said. Do we need a revival, or do we really need to name and address the elephant in the room? Do some teaching and apply it consistently. But I think revival, in some ways, when it's done right, can point people in the direction of that. Give real instructions for where to go next. Or in some ways, let's be clear, we experience revivals in our lives all the time.
Absolutely.
When you recommit to disciplines, when you realize you've spent, you know what a revival is for me? When I start looking at my bank account, and now these banks, they have like color-coded expenses and show you a pie chart and all this junk, and you get on your app and you see that you just spent like half the circle is orange and that's Red Lobster. That you spent for the month. And you sit down, and I've done this. You sit down, usually emotional, frustrated, you're not where you ought to be, or you have something coming up and you need to make a dynamic change, like
Absolutely.
something's going on, you're falling behind in something. And I sit down and pull out that paper and start writing down bills, canceling apps and bills that I shouldn't be paying anymore. I'm having a financial revival at my kitchen table and talking to the wife about it. Sometimes it's not such a pleasant conversation between the two of us. That's a revival of sorts. New Year's resolutions. I'm going to go to the gym. I'm trying to fit these clothes on, and I'm realizing that I've gained weight and I need to do something. That's a revival. So the church I recognize that laws can happen in the life of the church, and we're trying to pull people back to that place of devotion they ought to be, which speaks to what Sister Johnson is saying. That yes, that has to be a stronger part of all churches, but that starts with the individual. That has to be willing to do that.
Absolutely.
But the pastor sees the need for it. Come on, y'all. How many times have we had a revival of our kids cleaning their rooms and doing their chores? That means you had that knockdown, drag out. We ain't gonna have this no more. Mm-hmm. You know better than this. This is your routine from now on. I better not see that hamper overflow. I mean, it could be anything. You know what I mean? And so the church has that same dynamic.
And so, I think you're right. You're talking about when these bills, and you sitting down and doing these bills. Now, here it comes. You get an income tax.
Bro.
And now
that's a revival, Doc.
Yeah, you're able to set everything right? You're able to reset.
Everything
get everything back to normal. All the bills are paid. And so
after that, you're on your own.
So for me, that's what that right, because oftentimes, especially us as pastors, you're sitting up there and you're looking, and you can see that there are oftentimes several people who are coming out of duty and not devotion.
Correct.
They're just coming and they become complacent in what they do.
That's
it becomes, monotonous. And so that revival can maybe jumpstart. It can be that income tax of sorts.
So do we run into a problem, though, where the people who need to be revived are not the ones that come to revivals?
Now that could be a problem.
And sometimes the people who come to revivals are folk that just like church.
There are professional revival goers.
There are
professional revival goers. Yes, there is.
If somebody's preaching somewhere, just like some of them just go to funeral just because they want to, especially if they like the preacher.
Yep.
I've been told that, not to my own horn, but I've been told that. There's been people like, I really can't hear you preach, dog. I'm like, bro, oh God died over here. But there are people that just love church. Or they are committed to getting all they can get. And every chance there is to get more of God and experience more in the Spirit, they're going to embrace that. But then there are people that we look at in our congregations, we're like, no, you need a touch.
Right.
But you probably won't come to be touched. So we try to find a balance. And that's the one benefit of the Sunday morning thing being the main event is I get to bring some people that I normally probably would have brought to a revival, and they get to. But then people act a little different. I'm like, bro, go. We need this move today. Go with it. Do what God's called you to do. So I want to finish with this. I know we're on our time now. And I want to ask you at home, if you've ever been in a church environment or been a core part of a church or I'm a church member or leader, how do you know when a church has been revived? It can't just be we sweating and sitting back in pews that night talking about that show was
We
good.
had a time.
We had a time.
We had a time.
Did our hearts not burn?
With truth.
How do you know a church has been revived? Should Sunday school attendance be up? Should people be and maybe as we talk about reviving revivals, maybe we can reset the expectations, the follow-up protocols. Like, what if revivals included, like, if you've been inspired by the word this week, here are ministry opportunities for you to get involved in.
Right.
Here are prayer practices, or if you have been inspired this week and you have not been a Bible study attendee, or you're the type of person to come twice a month, make it 3 to 4 times, like
Absolutely.
Increase your, like,
Yes.
but we specifically give the instruction.
Right.
Should we be more intentional?
I think we should not, and I definitely think we should do that for revival, but I think we should do that for a good Sunday morning service. I think that we're missing a lot of opportunities on people who may be excited, and we let that excitement die down after they leave. And I think we have to be intentional of, whether it be making phone calls, whether we have cell groups at our church where our cell leaders are supposed to be making.
He's talking
phone
about
calls.
terrorist cells. He's talking about bombing grocery stores.
And they, I know for a fact, I went to to 2 churches that had cell groups. And, I joined the churches and neither one of the cell leaders called me.
They just didn't like you.
I'm just saying, now I was strong enough in the Lord that it
you
didn't
were
matter.
fine. I get it.
But if it was somebody else.
So if you're going to do follow-up, make sure you follow up.
Right.
Oh, I like that, Pastor Harrison. Train the excitement. You have to put the excitement into an intentional act, and that's something we missed out on. Now, I think that there were things that happened organically in the old church. I was heavily impacted by revivals at other folks' churches. I can tell you the night I was crying out to God at Hoy Street Church of God in Christ. I can tell you about the night when I was at Community Church of God in Christ. So we have to add intentionality to the excitement. And perhaps it could be a commitment board or card. It could be, out of this experience, this is what I commit to do. But we as the church have to find ways, and we could use technology to do that. We could use, here's a Google form. Here's something you can maybe, there was this thing years ago that was like an anonymous thing where you could post up any anonymous confession, you know, and it was like a website. It was just like some powerful stuff on there, like people. But even as a church, you could do stuff like, I'm making a commitment to X, Y, Z out of this. But we have to provide the template and like push them forward, whatever that looks like. It could be a board where you pin something to the wall and say, this is what I'm going to be doing, and I'm going to follow this out the last 3 months of the year and try to launch into 2025 with it. I think that's something we need to implement more to give people more marching orders. Where do you go from here? I want to say what President Harrison said, talking about engaging the community more. He said that a little bit higher. I see Pastor Kidd say they love Jesus and want to share. What if people have an experience in revival that makes them want to run and tell everybody about what they experienced at that church, at your church? And then they're inviting people to your church, not to the next revival service, but to your regular Sunday service. That's not a revival. Or that preacher that's not there anymore.
Not there anymore. And that's always but I think we have to, you know, like you said, you know who you're bringing in, and you know what next Sunday is going. It's almost like the Easter service.
Right.
You know, you have 1 million people there, and, you know, the next Sunday.
They ain't coming back.
It might be, but somebody might come back. Somebody might come back.
They might.
You know.
So by the way, pastors, if you're going to have a revival, be prepared for two things. Number one, for things to in some ways go back to normal, because they do in a lot of people. Mm-hmm. And so you can't live in that experience. But also, you better be ready to preach and put fire and passion into what you do.
And that's what it is.
You can't
you got to get revived yourself.
You got to get revived.
You have to get revived. And you know, if, you know, say Pastor Todd came down, preached the house down, you know what I mean? You ought to take something and say, you know what? Let me study a little bit more.
And I'm gonna close.
Let me read a little more.
And I'm gonna close on this. I feel secure in myself. I can just say that I don't feel great about myself, but I feel secure. I know that there are a lot of people who won't bring in revivalists and people because they can't follow them. They can't follow them.
I ain't never scared.
I feel like, listen.
I ain't never scared.
You gonna get this hoop after TD leaves. You gonna get this hoop. I don't care if Jamal Bryant tore this church up last night. I feel like, and again, pastors have to know what they have to offer. Right. And, you know, it's not everybody's speed, but you got to be ready to serve your people however God has called you to serve them, and keep the revival fire going. They're there to light or stoke it, but you got to keep the fire going.
You got to go. That's on
you.
You got to.
So watch out.
Stoke the timbers.
You just might hear. Thank you, Pastor Wingfield. I'm bringing in somebody better than me. They got to come in here and preach.
Absolutely.
Do not come in here because you're a lackey. I want to make myself look good. Mm-hmm. So you never know. You might hear about something in Second and Warren. You might hear something Second and Steubenville. You know, we don't mind revival.
We don't mind it. We like it.
And here's the bad thing. We ask our churches, would you like revival? They all say yes, and none of them show up. Hey, we live in Northeast Ohio. Do not do revival services on Friday Night Football.
No. They ain't coming.
Do revival services.
And listen,
I ain't coming. I'll invite him and go to the game.
I say stay in I preach in Steubenville, so they definitely
ain't coming.
Definitely. If it's a football game,
that Mustang gonna be out there with the fire coming out his mouth at the field.
They don't play around about football down there.
And we got a new video board at Harding. Ain't nobody coming. Hey, y'all, it's been great. Any last words, Big Mike?
Yes. Bear with me real quick. I would like to thank our sponsors, the African American Community Fund, the Phillips Family Care businesses, and also Action. Big shout out to our sponsors for providing us with the funds for this new set. It's not done yet.
It's y'all money.
It's not done yet, Got a few more details to do. I wanted to wait till next week, but
Got to get my Rolls Royce in.
But these cats seen their new chairs, man, and they wanted to sit.
We were not going back. We said, I won't go back. I can't go back to the way it used to be.
Thank you to the viewers. We really appreciate you tuning in every week. Tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend about Sunday night service.
Tell a friend.
Appreciate you guys. Love
Thank you,
all.
Big Mike. Thank you to all our sponsors. We appreciate it. I hope y'all love the new look. We're going to keep enhancing it. You're not going to see the banner always. We're going to have a new set up here, but we're just making it do what it do for now, and we're going to bring some more enhancements. So it's been nice, man. It's been great, Pastor Jeff.
Can we get some leg things?
Jeff needs a stool.
Jeff, I actually got the shorter chairs for you.
Just for you.
So your
I
legs
love
wouldn't
it.
be
I love
swinging.
it. Yeah, because I can sit on a curb and swing my legs. Huh?
Jesus Christ. Lord, revive his legs. All right, y'all. Until next time, we'll see you Sunday night service. Y'all take care. Peace out.